Hey everybody, my name is Rob Drenning, physical therapist. In this video, we're going to go over some exercise progressions if you have knee pain. We're going to get into more body weight movements, standing, weight-bearing types of things. I'm going to show you how to do that and what our goal is, but please, I've said this before in other videos that I have for knee exercises, you have to know why these exercises are helping and why your knee is hurting. That's how you're going to be able to tell if these are going to be helpful for you. These exercises aren't going to fit perfectly for every single person out there with knee pain. And the more you know about what's going on with your body, the more educated you can be and the easier it's going to be for you to tell which videos are going to be helpful. That way you don't have to watch 100 ones until you get lucky and find the ones that work. So I'll link that video here and in the description, but please go watch that first. We go over just some basic education so you can understand more why your knee's hurting and what's going on with your body. So the progressions we're going to do today are more weight bearing, and our goal with these, it's not just a traditional gym exercise. What we're going to do is go through these movements and help cue the hip muscles to start to work with our knee. When you're squatting or walking or doing stairs or any of the stuff we do during the day, your knees and your hips are moving together at all times when your foot is on the ground. And the more work your hip can do, the less work your knee has to do. So part of rehabbing a knee and getting the knee feeling better is making sure your hip is doing its fair share of the workload. So we're going to go through these exercises. I'm going to show you 4 of my favorites, and then afterwards, after we go through them, I'm going to show you what to do if they feel too hard or if any of them are painful, and give you suggestions for where you need to go moving forward from here. Let's check these out. The first exercise we're going to do is a single leg deadlift. Now I know what you're thinking. As soon as I say the word deadlift, a lot of people freak out. Oh, it's a bad exercise for your back and blah, blah, blah. You're going to get hurt. That is not true. It is an awesome exercise for your back, your glutes, and your hamstrings. You just have to learn how to do it correctly. So that's what I'm going to show you now. And that's why I have this massage stick. So first we're just going to get used to the movement pattern. I'm going to show you how to tell if you're doing it right to keep your back safe. So you can use a broomstick, a golf club, a ski pole, whatever you have at home. And what you want to do is you want to put it on your low back. So it's going to touch your tailbone and it's going to touch somewhere in the mid back. I'll pull my shirt so you can see a little bit better, but you're going to have your fingers in the hole in the small of your back. And what you're going to do is you're going to stand on one leg and you're going to bend forward and try to keep that space where your fingers are nice and the same. You don't want your back to flex and push into your fingers. The stick should stay touching your tailbone and your shoulder blades. If it lifts off down here, that means you flexed your back, you round it out. So you want to be hinging just at the hip with this exercise, and the stick just gives you a little bit of cueing so you can tell if you're doing it right. So you put the stick there, you bend forward, your knee can bend slightly, that's just fine. I have really tight hamstrings. So for me, I let my knee bend and I still feel a lot of glute and hamstring work. So you practice that on both legs a few times. If that feels like enough work to you, then that's where you start. You don't have to add weight to it. But once you get the movement pattern, you don't need the stick there. The stick there is just for initial feedback. So you can tell if your back's moving or if you're just moving at your hip like we want. If you feel like you have that motion pretty good, then we can add weight to it to challenge it a little bit more. So what you'll do is you'll take a dumbbell or a bucket or a paint can, whatever you have around the house. You're going to stand on one foot and hold the dumbbell in your opposite hand. So I'm standing on my right leg now, and I'm holding the dumbbell in my left hand. And I'm going to do that same movement and let my arm dangle right down to the floor and have the weight go down as well. I'm going to keep my back straight. My knee can bend a little bit. I don't want to hold the weight up here. I want my arm to be dangling to let that weight get transferred to my hip. So back straight, lean forward like that. The knee can bend a little bit, and then come back up. And then you're going to switch hands, switch legs, and do the same thing on that leg. 3 sets of 10. This is a fantastic exercise for your knee because we don't want to just work the quads. We also need to be working the glutes, the hamstrings, and the other stuff that affects how your knee works. This exercise is called a single leg sit to stand. Now what you need is just a chair, that's it. Or a couch, a stool, it doesn't matter. If this is too hard, put a couple pillows down, make it a little taller so that the task is easier for you to accomplish. It needs to be pain-free in your knee. So what you're going to do is just stand on one leg, make sure the chair is behind you. It would be not fun to miss it. And you're just going to slowly sit down onto the chair and slowly stand back up. You can reach forward, you can have this knee bent, this knee straight, it doesn't matter. Your goal is just to do that nice and slow. Sit down. You don't want to flop. Pretend like you're sitting down on eggs and you want to be real gentle. And then you're going to stand back up as well. Keep that leg up the whole time. Okay? This is really hard to do. If it's painful or if it's just too much, you can just start on two legs with a nice basic sit to stand using both feet like that. Or what you can do is just do it mostly on one leg, but have the other heel touching the floor a little bit just for some balance. And that'll give you a little bit of support there as well. So you can grade this exercise to match your specific needs. Your goal is 3 sets of 10. This is really hard. Start with 1 set of 10 and see how it feels. It's very challenging in your muscles. You'll fatigue fast. If you're really wiped out, that's where you start. If you feel like you can do a second set, great. A third set, even better. If you're doing 3 sets of 10 on 2 legs or with 1 foot touching a little bit, make sure you progress yourself to go fully to single leg as long as it's pain-free in your knee. The single leg sit to stand is one of the best ways to load your knee to start getting it feeling better in the long term. This exercise is called a split squat with a toe touch. So what we're going to do here, I have my bike and my band here because I'm going to show you a couple modifications you can make with this. What you're going to do is you're going to get in a lunge position, just like this. We're not going to do a lunge. You're not going to shift your weight forward. You're going to keep 50-50 weight even on both feet. And then what you're going to do is you're going to drop your hips straight down to the floor, allowing both knees to bend. You can see my back knee is bending. My heel is off the ground. I'm going up and down just like that. Okay, that's the basic motion. That's the split squat. Then what we want to do on top of that, get into that split squat, keep your back straight and reach your hands down the front of your shin as if you're going to touch your toes. You don't have to actually touch your toes, but you're getting that extra hip hinge to get the glutes kicked on there. Not bending the back. Keep your back nice and straight. Just bend at your hip. You're going to go up and down just like that. Now in this one, your painful leg is going to be forward. You can do it the other way too. Just be careful with that. When your painful leg is in the back, it's a little more pressure on there, and sometimes it can be painful. So you want to consider doing it with your painful leg facing forward. Now another modification, if you have a band at home or if you're at a gym with a cable column, you can use the attachment that goes around your leg and put it around your knee. And what you're going to do is you're going to step into the band like this. The band will be just above your knee. And the band is going to want to, I'll turn this way, it'll probably be a little better angle. The band is going to want to suck your knee in like that. But you're going to push out into it. That's going to kick on the hip muscles even more. Keep your knee pointing in line with your toes. And then you're going to do that split squat, just like that. Just adds an extra bit of challenge. The better the hips work, the less load goes through your knee. You're going to go up and down like that. You can also add in the hip hinge as well. Just like that, reaching forward. So if you have a band, this is an awesome way to do it and one that I love to do in the clinic with people. So do that. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. Just do the split squat with the toe touch. 3 sets of 10 if you can. If you can't, as always, modify a little bit. Do 2 sets, 1 set, whatever feels like the appropriate amount of load for you at the moment. If I had to pick my single favorite all-time exercise for knee pain, this would be it. And I call it the speed skater. You'll see why here in just a minute. This exercise is awesome if you have knee pain on stairs because it's really good at teaching your glutes and your hips to do more of the work so your quads and your knees don't get so overused on things like steps. So let me show you how to do it now. What you want to do is go to your bottom step on your staircase. If you don't have stairs in your house, duct tape a few old textbooks or phone books. Nobody has phone books anymore, but textbooks, whatever you have, duct tape them together just to give your foot something to be propped up on. So what you're going to do is your foot's going to be on the step, and your knee is going to be lined up right over your foot. For this exercise, we don't want your knee shooting forward over your toe. Generally speaking, that's not a bad thing. That gets a little bit overhyped sometimes. But for this exercise, we want to keep your knee right over your ankle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to keep your back straight, and you're going to lean forward by hinging from your hip. Lean forward in order to get all of your weight onto this leg, so when you pick your bottom foot up here, nothing else moves. See that? When I lift my bottom leg, I stay pretty still. If you're too far upright and you lift your bottom leg, you'll find yourself falling backwards, or like you need to jump and hop up onto that step. So that's why it's called a speed skater, because you have to lean really far forward. Have you ever seen those guys in the Olympics? They're forward like this and they're skating along. That's the position that you want to be in. Your back has to stay straight. You don't want to be rounding like that. Keep your back arched, hinge at your hip, and you'll end up almost getting your chest and your torso parallel to the floor. And you want to lift that foot. When you do, you'll feel the glute muscles really kick on. Your quad's working too. But you want to be feeling the glute here with this. If you're leaning forward and you're not feeling it, two things are usually happening. One is your knee is shifting too far forward, which makes your quad work harder than it needs to. And three is you rounded your back. So when you get in that position, pull your knee back, arch your back, and push your chest out, and then lift that bottom foot. If you need to hold on to something, please do, okay? Or you don't have to go full 100% weight onto that foot. You can just lift that bottom leg just a little bit, take some pressure off, maybe get 75% of your weight, as long as you're feeling those glute muscles starting to work. If you're doing that and it's feeling pretty good, then we can turn it into sort of a funny looking step up. You're going to keep your back straight. You're going to lean forward, hinge at the hip. I got my weight on that foot. I'm under control. I'm going to straighten up. And then I'm going to lower back down, also with the lean forward. So it basically becomes a step up. That's not how you would normally go upstairs, but for our purposes here, it's loading the knee. It's teaching the glutes, hey, you guys need to be working too. Your big, strong muscles. Help the knee out a little bit here. So you're going to lean forward, lift, get that leg controlled, and come back up. Now, another key with this one, I'll angle a little bit so you can see, is when you lift your foot, you don't want your knee to be rolling in across your foot like that. You want to keep your knee pointing in the same direction as your toes. If you can't do that, hold on to something for balance, or don't put your full weight on it yet. Have good quality of movement, get great control of that knee, then do the full lift. Then, almost fell there. Then you can turn it into the slow motion step up. Just like that. And your knee's never really changing positions. My knee's not crossing my toes at all the whole time. So that is my go-to exercise. If you do that enough, when you're going up and down flights of steps, you'll start to feel your glutes just as much as your quads. It's pretty cool how it works, and it really starts to help when you have knee pain going up and down stairs. So that is the speed skater turned into a step up. So there are 4 of my favorite exercises for more body weight resistance to start challenging the knee a little bit more, putting more load on it, and help it start to feel better. Your goal with those is 3 sets of 10, 1 time a day. But if 3 sets is too much, you can feel free to adjust that, do 2 sets, do 1 set. Feel free to play around with those parameters to fit your specific needs. But what do you do if those are painful, or if they feel too hard, or you're just not quite ready for those yet? In another video that I'll link here and I'll put in the description, we went over an easier set of exercises where we're not doing a lot of body weight movement. We're just starting to load the knee a little bit. And what you want to do is do those for a little bit, let your knee get better, and then come back and try 1, maybe 2 of these more advanced progressions and add that into your routine until eventually you can switch to the whole routine of the 4 progressions. So you can mix and match any sets of these exercises. If you go back to those, and even those are a little too much, they're actually exercises you can do to help your knee pain that don't work your knee at all. It's pretty cool. But we Went over those in another video as well, which I'll put here and in the description, so that you can have 3 different phases that you might be in. You can do them all if you're really a go-getter, or you can pick some of your favorites, mix and match, come up with a routine that helps your knee the most.